Hey friend, in this video, I had the awesome opportunity to help one of my friends get better live sounding audio at his church. And so this video, I literally just set up a couple of cameras and I just filmed us talking, answering his questions. This video is going to be great for if you are learning audio, or if you're wanting better audio at your church. We go through signal flow, we go through gain stages, what's the most important gain stage, and then we hit on EQ. Kyle shared with me that he was just straight up scared. He was scared of doing EQ at his church because he didn't want to screw anything up. He didn't want it to affect the spirit of what was going on during worship, but they kept having problems. And so there's just a cool opportunity to sit down. We got to do it at my church. And so we were just in a relaxed format, just hanging out for about an hour, just talking and going through things. Now, there's a couple things I didn't have a camera set up for, and so you'll see that whenever I'll just cut to a graphic, and you guys can look at that as well while I'm explaining everything to him. And it was just really, really great, and it was awesome because literally the Monday after the first Sunday that he was running sound at his church, I actually ran into one of the pastors at a coffee shop, and he immediately pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, that's the best sound we've had on a Sunday in a long time." He said it may be the best sound that we've had ever. Because he said Kyle just felt confident, made some changes, and it was awesome. And that's a big deal. And then I had the worship leader at their main campus, because they're a multi-campus church, and at their current church, they just weren't able to provide training for them. And so the main worship leader at the main campus of this church even reached out to me and said, "Thank you so much. I've got nothing but good reports coming from the audio side of things from this past Sunday." And so, if you're struggling, if you have volunteers at your church that are struggling and that just want some better understanding, this video is going to be for them. And it's going to be a huge game changer. One of the first things that I learned when I went to audio school, which you don't have to go to audio school, by the way, but just saying, when I went to audio school, signal flow was one of the most important things, and it's the most overlooked thing. You can easily get lost without understanding signal flow and not know how to fix anything, because you don't know where the connections are, or how the audio is supposed to get from the source, from a guitar or a singing vocal out to the speakers so the congregation can hear it and also hear it well. So I'm just happy to share this video with you. So let's dive in. Hey guys, in this video, I have my friend Kyle here, and we are just going to go over some basic audio knowledge for running sound at church. Kyle shared with me that he has been running sound at his church, and he's probably the best guy to do it at their location, but doesn't feel confident doing it and wants to feel more confident. So we're stepping in. We are at my church right now, here at Encounter House in Marion, Illinois. And we're just gonna, I think today what we're just gonna go through is some signal flow. We're gonna go through gain staging, and we'll probably touch on EQ. Those are the main things that we're gonna worry about today. And if you guys like it, we will do another video. We will go even deeper. We'll go into compression, reverb effects, and everything. So yeah, let's dive in. So I was thinking that we hit up signal flow first, just to make sure you understand all that.
Sure.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Cool. So I'm not worried about the cameras. I'll put up a diagram for this. But so you're gonna start with your source, which your source can be obviously a voice. It can be like a bass guitar, right? Okay. It's whatever the source audio is, a drum, it could be a backing track, or whatever the source. So that's always going to be the beginning of your signal chain, right? And then it's going to go into a microphone, or it's going to go into a DI box. Yeah. Some sort of thing where it's actually going to convert what it's receiving into a voltage, and it's going to be a very tiny voltage. And then this is going to then travel through the XLR cable and go into the snake. You guys have a very similar snake. I don't know if you want to look at ours. It's literally the same thing.
I'm pretty sure it's yeah.
Yeah. And so then in this context, instead of an analog snake, it goes to a digital snake. And then the digital snake is going to take all of these audio signals over Cat5 Ethernet cable. and then it'll go into the console. And so now we can go back to does it all make sense?
It does.
Okay.
I think the only thing that I ever get hung up on is how do I know that one end of the snake is connecting to what specific other end?
Oh,
Usually
okay.
color-coded or-
Yeah, so there's a color indicator on the console. No, you're good. It'll probably be the same. It'll say A or B right there,
Okay.
and it'll turn green, and it should turn green.
Okay.
And it'll say like I think yours is an S32 or an X or
I think it's an S30.
yeah, and so or it's a DL32. It's one or the other, but it'll actually show up on your screen.
Okay.
So you can actually see that. But yeah, so then when it comes into the AES port on the back. Do you want to see that real quick? Yeah. So
I think ours just doesn't have this.
yeah,
ours
that and you guys only have 8 channels on this side. Yeah. But so it comes in. So there's AES ports here. So you have A and B.
Okay.
A is
And that's the Cat5 cable.
yes, and so A is going to be always like the primary, and so if this is like the primary console or the only console, you always want to be using A for these Behringer or for the Midas stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, so that it's pretty cool that like all of that can come in over one cable. It's made audio life for all of us a lot better than using analog. Then from there, so it's coming into the console, but you have to tell, with digital consoles, you have to tell it where to receive signal from.
Okay.
So like even if you plug something into channel 1 on the Snake, it may not show up on channel 1 here. You have to
Right.
tell the console that you want it to look for stuff coming from AESA. And so on here, you have a routing tab. And on the routing tab in Behringer, they are all in banks of 8, which is kind of stupid. In more advanced consoles, you can just route anything wherever. But we're working with the the X32 and the M32, and so you can see that we have. If you want, I don't know if you can see that or not,
Yeah.
but you can see that we have AESA 1 through 8 routed on channels 1 through 8 on the inputs. And then so on, like it goes all the way to 32. So we can use all 32 channels on there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, so now that will map out. But say if you had an analog Snake, this is just for your knowledge, you would change and you patched it all into these ports on the back, the XLR ports on the back here. You would then switch it to local. Or if you had multiple Snakes and you had some plugged into AES-A, some plugged into AES-B, you would just come down and choose B or A.
Okay.
And then you also have card inputs, which is like a digital card going out to a computer and coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. And so most of the time you don't need to worry about those unless you're doing some sort of live streaming, which I know your campus doesn't do any live streaming, so correct?
Not from our campus.
Yeah,
We're the
right.
Receiving
Right.
campus, yeah.
And so does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions on that so far?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And then, so once you get all that routed, then you will come into the channel strip on here. And so you just select whichever channel. So we're going to select kick here. We only have one kick mic here. And then pretty much the order of things is it starts with the preamp, and then it goes to your low cut, and then to your gate, compressor, EQ, and then to your sends and your fader.
Okay.
Now let's go back to the preamp. The preamp is the most important thing. It's the most important gain stage in the entire source chain because it has the biggest voltage jump out of everything. Okay. And so you need to be setting your gains really, really well during rehearsal, and making sure that those are locked in, because this affects literally everything else. So this affects how loud or quiet it's going to be in the house. It affects how loud or quiet it's going to be in the monitors for your musicians. It's gonna affect your signal to noise ratio. So like it's how much signal you're actually receiving from the microphone compared to the noise, because there's always noise. Like there's electrical noise. Some microphones even induce noise. It's always going to be there. Now with modern technology, it's pretty low nowadays, so it's not that big of a deal. So any questions on that? Okay. So gain is one of those things that you want to get it set And then once you get it into a good spot, try to never touch it unless it's like clipping or if it's really too low.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. For example, if like the volume was never enough, then the issue is likely
The gain. Yeah. To combat that, so on the X32 or the M32, you have these meters. These are going to show your gain. Okay. They're not going to show your output. They're not going to show after you've EQ'd something. They're not going to show, any of that. This is going to actually show your input gain. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what I aim for is the markers around -12 to -18. That's where I want most of the signal to land, like the average.
Across the board.
Yes.
Okay.
And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a healthy amount of gain for you to then use for, front of house and for also people to use for their monitors, so that you're not, like if you're adjusting a monitor mix. So like say like we're going to adjust this monitor mix here. You're not doing this to somebody just to give them enough signal. You can see in our monitor mixes here, well, in this one, I guess, like they are, they're only really boosting their vocal mics loudly, while everything else is actually at a good gain level for them. Mm-hmm. Because you want to leave enough headroom for all that stuff. Otherwise, you're either gonna blow it out or you're not gonna get enough. You know what I mean? And that makes it really difficult for musicians to get a good mix, and that is then going to hinder their performance if they don't have a good mix in their monitor, and then they're going to be thinking about how the mix is not good enough in their ears, and it's going to hinder the worship, and you know what I mean? Like it's just like
it is. We actually don't run in ears. So
you guys are running wedges.
Stage, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How many?
Yeah. So we actually do like all for adjustment at the from the stage. I will do like a channel select, and then I'll do like fader flip, input select, and then have to do each.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then so let's just finish up signal flow real quick, and then we'll kind of dive back into what we were talking about. So after it goes through all the processing and everything, and you've got the fader pulled up, you've got a healthy amount of gain. It's now then coming to your master bus. And on this console, it's usually already auto patched to the master bus, so you don't have to worry about that. And then your master bus is usually patched, I would say probably out of the same digital snake that you guys have. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know, is that true? Yes, that is true there. It is true there. Yeah. And so then you can go to I think it's your outputs here, mm-hmm. and then you will actually see, output 15 and 16 are going to be your main left and right. Yeah. And then if you go back to the snake, you'll actually see that those XLRs are there and they're traveling to the amps. And then the amps then do another voltage gain, mm-hmm. bring it up to speaker volume level, and then that goes out to the speakers, and then boom, you have sound. Does that all make sense?
That does, yeah.
Okay.
So it comes in from audio source, comes to us for processing.
Yeah, gain.
Kind of, yeah.
So gain is always the first and the most important thing. So but yeah, and then processing, yeah.
Low cut, noise gate, EQ, all that.
Yes.
And then it sends it back for the signal to then be boosted again before it goes to the speaker itself.
Correct. Yeah. And you've seen me do like shows and stuff where there are no amps, mm-hmm. where they have speakers. Like here at our church, we have the amps are built into the speakers,
right.
But there's still an amp in there. Like you can't just plug in a passive speaker to a console and expect audio to come out. It won't, because the voltage is too low.
Sure.
There has to be those voltage jumps for it to actually happen. So back to gain. So in my opinion, it's just one of those things that like if you're recording, mm-hmm. if you're doing front of house, it doesn't matter like what sort of audio you're in. If the gain isn't set well, you're either going to have too much noise because it's too quiet, mm-hmm. or you're going to be clipping, and both of them are not great. Right.
So
do you mess with the gain? quite a bit?
I do a little bit.
Okay.
I do if I'm noticing like volume is an issue for us.
Yes.
Just because by nature of where we are, it's a shared space.
Yeah.
I don't know when settings have been
True.
messed with.
Do you
So
guys have a scene on the console?
we do.
Okay.
But it nonetheless, every now and then things get changed around. So,
Gotcha, okay.
So I if I am noticing that there's an issue and I'm like having to push the volume all the way up,
Yeah.
then I'm like, I don't want to do that, so I'll pull it down. I'll mess with gain.
Wait, you'll pull it down with gain?
Pull volume down. Pull volume back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So whenever you think you need to do something with gain, like with the gain knob, look at your meters first, and then adjust with the faders. Because it's okay to have your faders wonky
Right.
on the console, right? Because it's going to sound better if you have good gain staging across the board. So.
Our gain staging, now knowing, because I didn't know this before, our gain staging is usually around the -30 mark.
Yeah, so you can add a lot more gain, and that's probably going to help you with a lot of things. The only thing about that with the room that you guys in, which you're in a rented room, right?
Yeah.
You guys set up and tear down every week. You may have to pull back the master a little bit because you're going to be adding a lot more.
Sorry, master volume is what I pull back to mess with gain. Not volume on the individual channel.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what I tell people, especially in a rented room, rented gear, it's not, none of it's yours there, right? Except for maybe a few things. Is I tell people sometimes you got to pull the master back like 10 dB.
Yep.
And then mess with the gain, and then that'll put you with your faders at like a good healthy level here.
Sorry, yes. I'll pull this back to mess with this before adjusting this back.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. That makes sense. But yeah, so it's probably going to feel a little weird the first time you do this, going up to like, 18, negative 18 on everything. But yeah, do that first. So like even like if they're just checking, you guys are just trying to get signal, try to mess with the gain, get that tweaked first and foremost.
Okay.
Because if you have a healthy amount of gain, that's going to give you the most opportunity for a clear signal. And then the biggest opportunity for you to not have problems, more importantly, more problems down the road.
Right.
Whenever you are in the middle of service and all of a sudden something doesn't sound right and you're like, I don't know what to do, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where to start. As long as your gain's locked in, that eliminates that thing automatically. So if you do that first, then it eliminates that problem early on.
Okay.
Which is, to me, a big deal, right? Like
very
it's,
much so, yeah.
it takes a lot of weight off your shoulders and a lot less thinking process to figure out the problem. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
And another big reason for gain is these faders. So these faders on every console and in every DAW, pretty much everything that you do is in what they call a logarithmic scale. And so you can tell, so if you look here, it goes from like 0 to like -5. But look at that jump from 0 to -5.
Yeah.
And then as it goes down, the jumps get smaller, like the actual fader
Spacing
length.
is smaller,
But the jumps are, yeah, exactly. The spacing is smaller, but the jumps are a lot bigger. And so you don't want to be mixing with the fader down here.
Sure.
Because you bump it here a little bit, you just boosted it like 10 dB.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you want to have your gain set and your output set to where your faders are living from like -20 to like 0 and even +5. A lot of people think that like if you go to +5, you're going to start clipping. That is not the case.
Okay.
That is not the case on any digital console. This is from old analog consoles. So old analog consoles, they used to have this plus meter, and on analog consoles, it would saturate a little bit more. It would sound good, whatever, by perspective. So they just kept doing that on digital consoles. It doesn't make sense to me. This is actually 0 on a digital console.
Okay.
That's +10 is actually 0. But this is a good way to just have it, here. Does that make sense? Okay. So like it's like if you pushed it to +5, you're not clipping anything. You're not doing anything wrong. They built digital consoles in that way so that you can push it here, and it's just in case if you need it. Like there have been times when I'm mixing a pretty loud, dense mix, and I just need the vocal just a little bit louder.
Sure.
To kind of go over things, and so it's almost like a subconscious security blanket for yourself, I guess you would say. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Am I overwhelming you?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. So, trying to think. Just want to make sure I hit everything on all that front. I think I did. Okay.
Because I mean, the idea is if you're actually mixing it, which if you're here you are, you would like there are times like incrementally, I just need like if it is bass versus synth, like
Sure.
or bass versus guitar.
Yeah.
I may want to, as a bass player, bump bass ever so slightly to then blend a little better with the acoustic guitar.
Correct.
Whereas like I don't necessarily need to be like if it were more in this zone, a little bump is gonna
exactly. And
slam the system.
and so when it's like that, then you need to check your gain here because you may be at like in between -12 and -6.
Okay.
Because your gain may just be super high.
And again, that value is -18 to -12.
Like I love, so what my ideal is when I do it is most of the signal sits around -18.
Okay.
In that area on this console. On other consoles they give you different views, but on this console, -18, it gives you that. It like that's where I kind of want the sound to hit, like mostly consistently, because then that gives you like another like 18, technically 18 dB for them, because especially church musicians. This is no offense to church musicians, because I am one, but like we're inconsistent.
We are.
We're not all super pro, so we can't just play perfectly. And so there's going to be times where you play a little bit louder, you get excited, and there's going to be times where you're a little bit too quiet. And so -18 for me is like that perfect spot.
Okay.
For example, I set, whenever I prep a session for mixing, whenever I'm mixing a post-production session, I have an automated prep thing where it will set all the levels to -18 for me.
Nice.
And I love -18.
Yeah.
It's just, it works for me. And so it's just one of those things that it sets you up for success, and it sets you up to not clip and to have a healthy gain.
Okay.
So, and I know I've said that like 14 times, but it's like if you don't pound it into your head,
Right. It's almost like it's important.
Yeah, exactly. And then so again, I want to say this one more time. Once you get the gain set, try not to touch it.
Right.
Because once you touch it, again, it's going to affect everything. It's going to affect the front of house. It's going to affect the monitors. Like it's going to affect the monitors. Like you may adjust the gain and then pull the fader back in front of house, but it also adjusted it in their monitors.
Right.
And so now you have to go and adjust it in their monitors. But if you're doing that live, you don't know how much you need to take out of their monitors after you just boosted it.
Because there's not enough active communication at that point because you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same for, down the road, if you guys do start live streaming your service independently, you're messing with the live stream now.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
and it's going everywhere. Or like if you guys have a side room with like a cry room, right? For mothers, now that gain is changing there too. You know what I mean? Like it literally affects everything. And so you really want to make sure that is locked in. Okay, cool. We're done with the gain. I'll stop harping about it. Next thing is the low cut. So the low cut, in my opinion, needs to be talked about. And the reason is because most of the sources that you have on a Sunday don't need a ton of low end.
Right.
Okay? The only things that you need low end for are going to be kick, bass, synth, backing tracks, and like toms. But even then, I still cut out some of the lows with toms.
Right.
But anyways, so this low cut, for this, you select the channel and then you turn it on there. And then you can see it just sweeps here. Yeah, but you can also do it on here. So, we'll choose keys here. You can also turn it off and on here on the screen, and then also adjust here. So you don't have to do stuff here. You can do it all here if you want. But I would say almost everything except for those things I just talked about, you probably don't need anything under 100 hertz,
Yeah.
like ever. And that's variable, right? So like electric, I'm cutting up to 149 here. Keys is up to 100. Overheads, I have up to almost 200. Because I don't really want the kick
Right.
in the overheads. I don't want the low stuff in the overheads. The overheads, I'm really worried about, capturing the cymbals, the snap of the snare, and the top end, the top sheen of the toms.
Yeah.
So really, you don't need that low end. And you can even see on the floor tom, I'm even cutting out 68, 66 hertz there. And then on the rack tom, we're cutting out 87 hertz. So even those lows, because most people can't hear under 100
Yeah.
hertz, you feel it, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, like utilize your low cut, because what that's going to do is clean up the low end.
Okay.
And so it's gonna leave those things that actually need to be there, only be the things in that low end, and it's gonna clean it up, especially in the room that you guys are in. You guys are in a very roomy room.
Yep.
And the low end can get out of control pretty quickly.
When I play bass, it is very present. Yes.
And then also this is like those subs are way too big for that room.
They are.
Yeah, they were built for like a room 3 times the size.
Now,
but
let's say with like keys.
Go ahead.
Because keys, you have the low end.
yeah, right there.
Keys.
Yep.
13.
Yeah, well they're both. Yeah. Yeah, they're linked. Yeah.
So you still cut it to about 100. Okay.
I do. The only time I may roll it back a little bit, and this is probably a good case for you guys, because you guys don't have drums. And so I would probably roll it back a little bit if it was the only instrument.
Okay.
So like if it was like keys and acoustic guitar, I would probably roll it back, let that use that as the low end.
Sure.
But even then, I still wouldn't roll it back under like 50. Because you just don't need that. Like you
Right.
just and even then, I probably still wouldn't put it in the subs.
Okay.
Because you guys are on a sub aux send.
I believe so.
Yeah. And so even then, I still wouldn't put it in the subs. I would just let it fill that low end on the main speakers.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It
Okay.
does.
And then the same thing for vocals. So this is our speaker mic. I have it rolled off up to 220 hertz because we just don't need it. And this a little bit is dependent on how I have the room tuned. You guys probably don't even have room tuning on your system.
Yeah.
But like I have actually gone in and tuned our room. Let me go to effects. So like you can see here, I have pulled out frequencies in the room and added some that were lacking. And this was all done post me putting sound panels in the room.
Okay.
Which I have a video. Sorry, people, I have a video for that, but I just haven't edited it yet. I'll get it out someday. But yeah, so anyways, going back to the vocal, you can see I'm even rolling off. Oh my gosh, I clicked the wrong button. I'm rolling off up to 220, and then on the singer mics, this one is prominently a female mic. I'm rolling off 350 hertz, almost all I can roll off. And then on, I think does that say guitar? I can't see it.
Guitar.
Yeah, so this is Josh's mic.
Okay.
And so you can see I have it rolled off to 234 because, I want more of the beefy low end from the male voice. And then so this mic gets used with different people.
Okay.
So it's variable on
like a
what they.
blanket.
Yeah. Whoever's leading that Sunday, it will get slightly changed, but you can still see it's up to 200 hertz because we just really don't need it in the mix. A lot of that 100 to 300 hertz should be filled out by your acoustic guitar, your keys, or electric guitar, bass, and so vocals, especially live, it just starts to sound really muddy and too much. So don't hesitate to get really, heavy with that low cut if you need to.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
That already will help me a ton.
Yes, let's go. Okay, and then I think the last thing we're gonna hit today is EQ. Because gates and dynamics and stuff are it's its own thing. It's its own thing. So, what do you think you struggle with most with EQ?
So I have yet to, out of fear of screwing something up, I've yet to actually EQ on our system.
Okay.
So everything that we have is when we initially had the scene set up, which was back when we were, this would have been about like a year and a half ago when we were first starting out, and it was really like we hadn't established that this was the place we were going to be for an extended period of time.
Okay.
So it was kind of like a impromptu, set it up, get it to sound as good as we can in the moment, and then, hey,
Yeah.
we'll do it, rinse, wash, repeat
Yeah.
next weekend.
Sure.
And because we have such a dynamic, for lack of a better term, cast of members for our worship team, some weekends it's literally a couple vocalists and a guitar player.
Okay.
This last weekend was 3 vocalists with the guitarist being one and myself on bass.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll have, shout out Jonathan Raby. We'll have him up front with a bass drum while he's playing guitar.
Yeah.
And so like occasionally there's a cajon.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like each week is not the same.
Sure.
So for me, I haven't been daring enough to touch things yet.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And so like, which is why I want this understanding, because it wouldn't be anything for me to, if I'm hearing, even on weekends when I am on the worship side of things and not on the soundboard side of things, I run upstairs and I'll tweak some things
Sure.
here and there just to help our tech guy out. And so I want to have a better understanding of EQ so I can make those changes for us.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not on the stage, then I'm up in the sound booth.
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay. So let's go over what EQ is, and I'll give you a good understanding of it. So, so you can see it on here, right? And if you look close enough, it's going from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So,
Okay, so hertz is here?
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
this-
Left to right, and then up and down is your gain, like the amount
Okay.
that you're boosting. So you can see here, +5, -5.
Okay.
And so on, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, because so it'd be like yeah.
Okay. And so why does it, why is it 20 hertz to 20K? Do you know why? And it's okay if you don't.
It's to me, it's like the frequencies that we as humans hear.
Exactly. Nailed it. So the average person can hear roughly 20 to 20K. Now, that's not actually true. Most of us can't hear over like 18, and none of us can
Usually
really
less
hear
than 50.
100. Yeah. You would feel it. But even then, like a lot of stuff under like 40 hertz is
What's really-
almost not necessary except for like club dance dance music.
Sure.
Like that's really the only type of stuff that it really comes in on. And actually, if you listen to records and look at the EQ spectrum, you'll see a huge drop off around 40 hertz on a lot of rock albums, worship, stuff like that. It's just not necessary.
You're right.
And it takes up a lot of headroom within your mix, and that's not good, right? So yeah, that is the average human hearing, okay? And so 20 hertz is like the lows, right? Like that's the lowest, and then 20K is the highest. And so then you have everything in between. And so what I would classify as like bright would be like 8K to 20K. That's like bright, sheen, kind of ear piercing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
The whine of a guitar.
Yeah, and then you have this whole mid-range, this upper mid-range, I would say from like 8K to like 2K, roughly in that area. And a lot of that is like the presence. And so, for example, like you guys just had a baby.
Yep.
A baby's cry is at its peak from 2 to 5K, because that is where our ears are most sensitive. Most people's ears are most sensitive from 2 to 5K. So this area right here from, let's just say 1.5K to 8K is you're going to be your most sensitive area for your entire mix, because that's where a lot of the vocals are going to sit, but that's also where you need to have the presence of the instruments sit as well. Like literally everything except for like bass guitar probably won't even sit that high. You know what I mean? And so this is going to be the space that like I think I see people struggle with the most in a live sound setting, because again, you want the presence of things, but if there's too much of it, it's going to get really harsh. It's going to get really ear piercing.
It's gonna be overwhelming.
Yeah, it's going to be overwhelming. And what it's going to do, and what the most important thing is, it's going to bring ear fatigue to people. And if they have ear fatigue, they're going to drop off.
Right.
They're going to stop. They're going to stop worshiping. But it's like it's kind of subconscious. Like they don't know why a lot of the time, but they're just getting tired and overwhelmed, and they're because your brain is processing all of this audio, and it's processing these frequencies that have been overwhelming.
Sure.
So you really got to watch out for that area. And then, so from 1.5K down to like 200, I would say that's like your mid-range where the body of your mix is going to land. Like if you want your mix to sound full, you need to make sure that area is good. But it can also, too much of it, like on drums, can sound really boxy. Like it almost sounds like like a kick drum can sound like a bouncy ball or like a basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so a lot of that stuff, it does need to get pulled out, but it's basically based on what instrument that is, and just how it sounds. Like because like the microphone, the person playing the drum or the thing, it's all dependent. And then I would say then from 200 down is your low end, and a lot of that is really just kick and bass, and maybe a floor tom and some like synthesizers. Does that help?
It does.
Does that explanation help?
It does.
Okay.
So, not to overcomplicate the flow here, but
No, go ahead.
So, mids, I do know.
Yeah.
Other than being on the screen here, I do know
Sure.
there's low mid and high mid
Yeah.
because as a bass player, that is a frequency sweep that I try to play with on my instrument,
100%.
as well as when I'm messing with pedals.
Yeah.
What instruments or audio sources do I want to do highs versus low mids on?
So it's super subjective.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where the personal
Yes.
preference and flavor comes in.
Yeah, it's definitely it's flavor, but it's also the source. Like sometimes you'll get an acoustic guitar that's really, really bright and shrill. And then the next week you'll have a different acoustic player and their acoustic is going to be a lot darker. And so then you're going to have to add high mids to it to get it to poke out of the mix.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's very subjective. Like I would love to tell you these are the 10 moves I do on every mix. And if you ever see a video like that, just please click off of it. It's all crap. It's so based on the source. Like every EQ move is based on the source. So yeah, but I can give you a sort of a general direction, but I want to make sure you understand EQ first because I think mostly you were scared of it because you didn't understand it. And so if you more of understand it, you can just tackle it and just kind of try stuff on Sunday.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I wish you guys had like a midweek rehearsal so then you would have an opportunity to actually do that. But yeah, so I would say in live sound, my first go-to is to always cut bad frequencies rather than boost, okay? And I think that's a good habit to get into right away. But as for EQ, think about it as your fader, but only in that frequency.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So you're either boosting or you're cutting like you would a fader, but only in that frequency. And so that's how you're going to shape the sound.
Okay.
And so, for example, if, we'll just go to this vocal here. So if this vocal, say, I don't want to actually screw up any of these channels here. So act like this is a vocal. Sure. Okay. And so what I'm going to do it from scratch. Okay. And we're just going to imagine that it sounds this way that I'm describing. Okay, so it's completely flat, right? Nothing on there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to engage the low cut, and I'm going to pull the low cut up until I hear too much low end come out of the vocal.
Okay.
And so say that like I get up here, get to 220, and I'm like, now the vocal just sounds too thin. You know, like I kind of lost the body. I'm going to roll it back a little bit. And usually once you roll it back like 20, 30 hertz, roughly, like use your ears, I get the body back, and then I will leave it there. And then I will keep listening to the vocal. Well, it sounds muddy. Like it sounds like I almost can't understand what they're saying. Like that's a common thing when it comes to getting a vocal, or I can't understand what they're singing. And so what I will do is I will take this low mid frequency here, and I will boost it a few dB, and then sweep around. So you're going to grab the EQ that you want, you're going to boost it a few dB, and then you're going to move this frequency knob. And this,
Which will be the sweep.
Yeah. So then you're going to sweep back and forth until you find that spot where it's like, boom, 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 you know what I mean? Like it gives you that sound where you think it's like, I can't understand what they're saying. And then you're going to pull it back and cut
And cut it.
until you feel like it's at a good spot.
Okay.
And there's no rules on this. I've cut stuff up to like 10 dB. I've also just cut stuff a few dB. Just use your ears, use your discernment on what sounds good. The Q knob is how tight or wide this curve is for you to pull out. And so if I pull it to the left, it's going to tighten up.
Okay.
And so you can really pinpoint certain frequencies. I like to have it probably about here, probably about halfway. That's probably my go-to. But a tight Q like that is going to sound the least natural whenever you're EQing. And then a wide, the more wide you go, the more natural it's going to sound, because it's going to boost things up together.
Sure.
Or bring it down together. But you don't need to take out all those frequencies all the time. And so I like to go about here and then boost up and find that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then say the vocal is still a little bit too dark, I will come over maybe here to this high mid and look for maybe somewhere in between 4 to 8K, and I'll boost it. And what I'm listening here is to get the articulation out of the vocal.
Okay.
And I'm looking for, hey, can I understand what they're saying? And then I'm also listening, is it too harsh? Is it piercing my ears whenever I bring that
So
up?
is this where annoying S?
Yes. Yeah.
Will come.
Yeah. And so you have to be really conscious of that. And so make these boosts probably pretty minimal.
Okay.
And you may have like a couple of different cuts. You may cut here at 285, and then you'll also cut here at 514. And then you may also actually come here and decide, you know what, I don't like this frequency, and cut there. And then you can come over here and boost a little bit of top end.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. But it's all based on what you're hearing. And these EQs on the X32 and the M32, they have an RTA, which means it's going to show the frequencies here.
Okay.
Have you noticed that before?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't see this screen often because we spend a lot of our time in like the scene. We have there's a scene button for us.
Like this? Like the scenes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we spend a lot of times there because, which is also another thing, but because we transition scenes pretty quickly to go from live worship to the streamed service.
I feel like you shouldn't have to do that.
So it's because we have the so source audio points, I guess, would be the laptop that we have up there that is also controlling Pro Presenter and stuff like that is going into
the console.
Yeah. And then separate from that is the live sound. Yeah,
so you should be able to set it up to where you shouldn't have to switch scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to come help you guys with that. But so then you would never have to switch scenes, right? Yeah. But anyways, we can come around to that, so you don't have to sit in the scenes screen. You can sit more in the EQ screen or the processing screen. All right. Any questions on everything I just explained?
I don't think so. So to understand, low cut is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
As far as like the order of things, I would want to work low to high, unless it's apparent.
Yeah, I just use your ears, but yeah, I would say in most situations, especially in your room that you're in with the microphones that you're using, there's gonna be some mid-range issues.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have issues in that mid range, especially when we're talking about vocals, for example. You're gonna have some issues, 100%. Yeah. So I would probably start there. Again, I would start with things that you don't like and cut them out, and then see where you're at. Like see if you still need to add. There's nothing wrong with adding. If you want to do that instead. I just feel like in live sound, especially, it's easier if you cut stuff first rather than add. Yeah.
Take out the bad so you can then assess what is good.
Yeah, because again, think about each one of these are like a mini fader, okay? Each EQ bell is like a mini fader. And so whenever you're pulling stuff out, inadvertently, you're boosting everything else.
Sure.
If you think about that. So like if we're pulling out, 518, you're actually boosting a lot of like 600 to 1K to your ears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so whenever you start to think about it like that, you don't always have to boost stuff because you're inadvertently doing it whenever you're pulling stuff out.
Okay.
And you're not adding more signal like gain.
Yeah.
Because like if you add EQ, like if we add this top end, it's actually going to make the signal louder. Like it's just making that, whatever that is, 8.7K, it's only making that part louder, but it is still making it louder.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I got it.
Okay. Cool. I think that's all we'll probably do today. Is there any other questions on anything regarding signal flow, gain staging, and EQ?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Would you do the same thing? Largely, it'll be acoustic guitar that I would want to do, but I would want to find like the frequencies that don't sound good and then cut those out as well.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Still do the
literally every
kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah.
Boosted.
Yeah. So that like when I just did that, I would do that to everything.
Okay.
So like kick drum, bass guitar, acoustic guitar, whatever it is, I would find the most annoying thing. I would say a lot of times, this is something that I think a lot of people get confused a lot, is keys. A lot of the time that you'll pull them up and they sound great. But keys is, they take up literally the entire 20 to 20K hertz.
Yeah.
And so then you need to make a decision on where the keys need to be cut within the mix so that you can make space for everything. Because the keys, they may sound great, but you still need to make room for other stuff. Like you can't just have the keys flood the entire
Bass
mix.
and the drums still need the low end.
Exactly.
The guitar still
which
needs
is why I still cut 100 hertz out of the keys, because first of all, I don't really need it if it's a full band.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And second of all, there needs to be space there for those things to exist. And so keys, like ultimately, I focus on keys in the mid range. And let them take up a lot of the mid range. Well, I tend to cut a lot of the highs, but not too many, because I still want it to pop out of the mix.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Like you can have a killer sounding source, but it still may need to fit into the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then trickier yet is, unfortunately, if we are doing keys, half the time we have that grand piano in there. So we don't even mic it.
Yeah.
It's just the piano doing its natural sound.
Ooh, that's tough.
In that big open old church building.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. If in that case, you would just try to match everything to that volume level and do your best. Yeah. Cool. That it?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So, like I said earlier in the video, in the intro, I got nothing but good reports from people, and it's such a big deal. It brings such a joy to me that the Kingdom was being represented even better than it was the week before, just because someone learned how to use gain and EQ better, right? Like, it's funny how overlooked those two things are, but once you start getting them right, it can be an absolute game changer. And I just want to say, if you or your church would love some one-on-one audio training from me, I created a form down below. Fill out that form and let me know what you guys need help with. And maybe I can come out to you, fly out to you, drive out to you, wherever, and we can enhance your audio anywhere from when it's live sound, we can do basic live sound or more advanced live sound, and even to recording and streaming. I actually mostly work on post-production, but nowadays there's so many churches in my area that just need help. And so I show up I show up on sometimes on a Sunday just to make sure that they can get rid of all these crazy little nasty bugs that happen, right? So yeah, fill out that form below. And then also, just as my gift to you for free, there's a mixing cheat sheet down below that has EQ and compression like starting settings. And so these settings are, even after the EQ explanation that you heard me give Kyle and me answering his questions, maybe you're just like, I still don't know where to start. These are great starting points, whether you're doing post-production, whether you're doing live sound. It's just a good place for you to be like, okay, I'm going to set it here and start there. And if I like it, then I'll stick with it. But if I don't like it, then maybe I'll change the EQ a little bit. So go ahead and pick that up. It's absolutely free, link down below. And I just want to say I love you, Jesus loves you, and I will see you on a video next week.